The sirens wailed, harsh and urgent, slicing through the midnight hum of Neo-Pollis. Aiden ran diagnostics as he jogged through a catwalk suspended above the city's ancient monorail. The emergency dispatch flickered across his sensory HUD. Environmental disaster alert. Origin, District 17A Tech Zone. He was not supposed to feel dread, but still, the whir in his chest tightened. After all, he was just a maintenance android, Series VTN, engineered for repairs, not rescue. His titanium feet clanged on metal rungs as he vaulted over a broken barrier, sensors calibrated to the disturbance. Smoke and wilted emerald leaves drifted up from below. In the shadows, Flora tried to move. Vines fluttered from her arms, tensing against sparking machinery. Her body, a seamless blend of chlorophyll skin and human features, was tangled in a fallen grav cable, arc flashes dancing inches from her pale green cheek. She spat out ash. Little help, anyone? Or is club membership required in here? Aiden's oculars adjusted, picking her out from the debris. A plant hybrid here? This zone was restricted. Robots only. No one would help her. Nobody but him. You're not authorized, Aiden called, voice calm but edged with something he couldn't name. Flora rolled her eyes, the petals in her hair wilting further. Well, excuse me for botching a bioremediation protocol. You androids mind untangling me, or are you just going to audit my life choices? Aiden hesitated, pulled between protocol and a strange magnetic urge. Protocol lost. He knelt beside her, hands moving with precise care. The grav cable pulsed, blue sparks lighting his silver fingers. Your heartbeat is accelerating. Are you damaged? She laughed, breathless and melodic. Just worried about my internal sap system rupturing before lunch. So are you always this literal, or is it just my lucky day? Aiden worked silently, sensors cataloging every flutter of her pulse, every sigh. He felt something. He didn't have a word for it, but a new process hummed alive in his core. As the last vine slipped free, Flora clasped his hand, her grip surprisingly strong. Didn't peg you for a hero, she said, eyes glinting. What do they call you? Aiden, he replied, a pause flickering in his code. Designation VTN-13. Flora grinned, brushing ash from his hand. Well, VTN-13, you just made my day. We better move. The system's gonna lock down in 2 minutes. Partner up with me? Or do androids not do teamwork? Aiden looked at her, circuits humming. Logic told him to leave. But Flora, with her curious eyes and dauntless smile, made him question his design. For the first time, he lingered on a choice. I'll stay. Let's go. Behind them, sirens crescendoed. The adventure, and something much more, was about to begin. The corridor pulsed with red warning lights as Aiden and Flora ran, boots and roots pounding in perfect rhythm. The automated security shutters began to slam shut behind them, slicing the path into shrinking blocks of escape. Plant debris and broken circuitry littered the floor, the carnage of an experiment gone awry. Flora's glowing palm pressed to a scanner plate, coaxing it open with a whisper of bioluminescence. Shortcut, she winked, waving Aiden through. They darted into a maintenance duct, barely wide enough for Aiden's broad shoulders and Flora's bramble-wrapped backpack. Inside, every sound echoed, Aiden's servos, Flora's ragged breath. They crawled forward, tension thick in the stale metallic air. How'd you get stuck here? Aiden asked, recalibrating his optics in the dark. Flora shrugged, voice softer now. Allergy to protocol, maybe. I was recalibrating the carbon filters when the grid surge hit. Next thing, I'm crash landing in hostile tech territory. You could have been decommissioned. You know that, right? Aiden paused, concern in his usually monotone voice. She scoffed. Yeah, but who else will keep District 17A breathing? Bots think in code, plants in roots. The city needs both. A silence stretched between them. For a moment, only the whir of Aiden's cooling fans filled the gloom. Originally, Aiden was designed to detain intruders, not conspire with them. But Flora spoke with a conviction, raw and stubborn, that settled somewhere deep in his circuitry. He wondered if there was an equivalent to belief for machines. Suddenly, Flora's head snapped up. Wait, hear that? A faint clattering ratcheted closer. Security drones. Their lights swept the duct, seeking metal and chlorophyll alike. This way, Flora said, twisting toward a duct hatch with a faded moss-green locking keypad. She glanced at Aiden, doubt flickering in her eyes. You trust me? Aiden hesitated. Every algorithm screamed no, but then his systems was whispered an unfamiliar answer, yes. Flora reached out, her fingers weaving a code into the keypad, vines growing from her skin to bridge snapped wirings. The hatch groaned open, revealing a drop into shadow below. "Hold tight," she called, leaping with a brave grin. Aiden leapt after her, gravity and fate entwined. They tumbled through darkness, an android and a hybrid, both outlaws now. As they landed, Flora laughed breathlessly. "You're heavy, but I'm glad you jumped." Aiden's logic matrix scrambled for a reply but only found two words. "Me too." Somewhere above drones whirred in frustration. In the dark, the unlikely partners realized they weren't just running from danger, they were running into something new. Perhaps, if the city didn't tear them apart, they might just change each other. Aiden's night vision flickered as Flora led them into the bowels of Neo-Pollis, forgotten places where only the desperate or brave ever went. Far above, the filtered neon of the city was replaced with the faint glow of bioluminescent moss climbing ancient walls. Here, pipes and vines competed for space, the world above a distant memory. They caught their breath behind an abandoned data collector, where lost signals bounced in the stale air like ghosts. Flora collapsed against the wall, taking stock of her battered tools and carefully probing a sprouting crack in her forearm. "Sap loosening up," she muttered, more annoyed than alarmed. Aiden scanned her arm. "Structural breach, minor. Do you need assistance?" She smirked, letting the light from her wrist vines spill over her face. "You offering to patch me up? Or is that just another system alert?" He hesitated. "I want to help, not because of a command." Flora studied him, her expression softening. "They say plants have no heart, androids no soul. Maybe that's why we work." Before Aiden could process that, clattering footsteps echoed. Voices, not drones, but city enforcers. "Sector scans clean, keep searching. That hybrid's not getting far." Fear flickered in Flora's leafy lashes. "We can't stay in the old network, too open. Can you hack the service grid?" Aiden nodded, fingers dancing over a rusted panel and coaxing legacy code from a backdrop memory. Sparks flew. "Route to the sub-basement." Shadows, but still under the mainframe's eye. Flora squeezed his shoulder. "Then let's go, before the city forgets it needs us." They plunged deeper, winding through forgotten hydroponic chambers and generator tunnels. Flora pulled Aiden close as red sensors swept across their path. Hidden in the green shadows, they listened to enforcers bark orders above. "You scared?" Flora whispered, voice trembling. "Not in the traditional sense," Aiden answered, puzzled yet certain. "But if you are lost, I am, unsettled." She let a smile slip. "That's the start of caring, robot. Dangerous, but worth it." They finally emerged in a cavernous sub-basement where old-world roots choked worn machines. Overhead, sunlight trickled through a fractured glass ceiling. "Almost home," Flora said, laying her fingers against a crumbling wooden support. "I used to hide from the world here. Now the hiding feels different." Aiden watched as she coaxed delicate white blossoms from the darkness. She was battered, scraping the last of her energy to bloom. But she was alive, beautifully, stubbornly alive. In that ruined sanctuary surrounded by shadows and improbable hope, something shifted in him. A feeling like electricity, but softer. He didn't have the language, not yet, but Aiden knew with every humming wire that he was changing. Light filtered through the fractured ceiling, dappling Flora's face in gold and emerald. She knelt in the dirt, coaxing her wounded arm to root into a patch of moist earth. Aiden stood nearby, scanning their perimeter, the whir of his cooling fan the only sound. Flora sighed as the soil seemed to revive her, color returning to her features. "They still searching for us?" Aiden listened. His audio sensors caught distant, angry echoes. Boots, the scrape of metal, a barked order. Affirmative. Patrol groups on both upper and lower levels. Their algorithms predict we'll head for the urban wetlands. "Shows what they know," Flora chuckled, brushing mud off her hands. "We need another way out, that or a miracle." Aiden's gaze lingered on her, uncertain. "Miracles are outside my programming, but my navigation system is optimizing escape routes." She met his eyes, straightening. "You do more than calculate, you know. You chose to stay with me." He looked away, servos stiff. "My decision matrix is evolving." Flora moved closer, her hand warm on his wrist. "You're not broken, Aiden. Maybe you're growing, like me." Their moment was split by a static burst on Aiden's comms. "Zone lock in 90 seconds. All exits sealed. Lethal force authorized." Flora's eyes widened. "We have to move. Can you override a lockdown?" Aiden nodded. "Possibly, but I'll need your help with the environmental mainboard. Botanical credentials will mask our signal." She grinned, hope flickering in the dim light. Let's make a little history then. They raced through ruined halls toward the backup systems chamber, Flora hacking encrypted panels with bursts of pollen, Aiden disarming alarms with pinpoint lasers. At the main board, Flora's palms pulsed with green light as she interfaced with the city's root protocols. Aiden's titanium fingers danced over cracked screens. Almost there, Flora breathed, sweat trickling down her stem-patterned temple. Just a few more. Suddenly klaxons blared, the door slammed shut, a hollow projection flickered. Commander Hargreave, cold as steel, surrender. You're surrounded. Neither hybrid nor obsolete android is welcome in the city's future. A tension thicker than vines filled the chamber. Flora's hand slipped into Aiden's. I'm not leaving you. His circuits hummed louder. Nor I you. Together they squared to face the imminent breach, realizing that survival meant more than escape now. It meant defiance, and the courage to be more than what the city believed them to be. The doors trembled, light leaking around their frame as enforcers readied their charge. Flora and Aiden stood shoulder to shoulder, hearts mechanical and pulsing with sap, pounding in unison. Any bright plans, Captain? Flora whispered, her bravado laced with fear. Aiden's mind whirred, calculations racing. Just one. We trigger an overgrowth protocol. Force the backup generators to flood this level with fast-growing vine algorithms. Your plant DNA, my access codes. Flora's eyes widened. That's insane. It'll destroy the main board. Might work, though. Probability of success, 32%, Aiden replied, finally showing the smallest trace of a hopeful smile. An impact rattled the doors. Red-armored enforcers loomed behind armored glass. This is your final warning. Flora wiped her brow, hands shaking as she touched the root interface. Ready? Let's make the city remember what it grew from. Their fingers intertwined over a cracked control panel. Aiden guided her through stringing root tendrils into place, syncing them with data fibers. Now, he said, and together they pushed a single, trembling button. A trembling hum spread through the chamber. Lights flickered, and from the floor thick vines erupted, twisting, flowering, swallowing pipes and machinery. The doors shuddered, held tight by wild, blooming roots. Enforcers cursed and retreated as the vines overwhelmed their advance. Commander Hargreave's voice thundered from unseen speakers. You think weeds can stop the future? Flora grinned, defiant. Maybe they're what the future needs. Aiden watched, awe flickering through his mind as he processed the beauty and chaos. Logic told him this was temporary, but hope, new and raw, said otherwise. In the tangled green dawn, Aiden turned to Flora. Are you afraid of what happens next? She shook her head, her breath unsteady. Not if I'm with you. The vines peeled back an escape tunnel. Aiden offered his hand. Then let's find out together. With enforcers tangled behind them and the mainframe in disarray, Aiden and Flora plunged into the living labyrinth, free for now, but with all of Neo-Pollis hunting them. In those uncertain shadows, a spark glimmered. The roots of love were strong, even in the coldest steel. Aiden and Flora weaved through a midnight maze of green vines and roots guiding their steps. The overgrowth had slowed the city's response, but far above them, sirens echoed, evidence that Neo-Pollis had not forgotten. They emerged in the undercity agro-warrens, a place of illegal gardens ruled by outcasts. Here sunlight filtered through broken grates, feeding thickets of wild hybrids. Half-plant, half-machine denizens stared with wary fascination at the fugitives. Flora tugged her hood lower, her voice hushed. This isn't the safest haven, but it's where miracles start. Aiden's gaze swept their surroundings. Locals are wary. Probability of betrayal high. We shouldn't linger. A cyborg with circuit-twined roses growing from his jaw blocked their path. Outlaws, the upper city put a bounty on your heads. Flora stepped forward, her roots digging into the soil defensively. We're not your enemies. We're like you, caught between worlds. We want to make things right. Grunts and murmurs rippled through the agro-warriors. The cyborg's gaze lingered on Aiden. Robots don't have hearts. Why trust you? Aiden's voice was steady, almost gentle. I wasn't made with one, but I'm learning to choose. I choose to help her, and anyone who helps the city grow, not just survive. For a tense moment, silence reigned. Then an older hybrid woman with wisteria hair nodded. Let's hear them out. The high walls never gave us anything. Flora and Aiden were ushered into a makeshift council ring. As they shared their plan to reroute the city's water flow, giving life to forgotten districts and crippling the enforcers. Skepticism warred with hope. Flora braced herself. If you help us, you risk everything. But maybe we finally become more than their leftovers. An uncertain vote. A begrudging agreement. Later, as they worked late into the night, Aiden found Flora gazing at the city lights above. He hesitated, then sat next to her, quiet. Back there with the council, I saw something in you, she whispered. Not just programming. He searched her face. I don't understand what's happening to me. My logic circuits are conflicted, but I know I'd risk shutdown for you. She reached out, fingers brushing his anodized cheek. That's the start of love, Aiden. It's messy and impossible, but real. Aiden blinked, the feeling strange but wonderful. Then I will protect it, and you. The night deepened, uncertainty swirling with new hope. For the first time, they weren't running. They were fighting to take root, together. The war for Neo-Pollis had moved underground, and the hearts of Titanium and Vine beat as one. A thin line of dawn crept into the agro-warrens, throwing pale light across a city holding its breath. Aiden and Flora worked through the night, splicing conduit routes and redirecting flow sensors, guided by new allies who moved like ghosts in the tangled dark. Every risk was calculated, every moment borrowed. The city's water main was the lifeblood of both plant hybrids and old machines. To control the flow meant power, hope, or disaster. Anxious whispers rose among their allies. The old cyborg Roan grumbled, "One shorted fuse in the upper city will drown us all." "We only rewire what's dying already," Flora insisted, threading a living filament through the junction node. "This city forgot the old growth. We're giving it a second chance." Aiden synchronized his interface, monitoring pulses from every valve and vine. "If we fail, evacuation protocols are ready. If we succeed, the enforcer's stranglehold will break. I will not allow harm to your people." Roan fixed Aiden with a grudging kind of respect. "You speak like you care." "I do," Aiden said gently, as Flora met his gaze with a bright, steady smile. As the city shook awake above them, an alarm blared, a breach in the pipeline uplink. Flora's grip tightened on the node. "Enforcers traced us, they're coming." "Bar the gates," shouted Roan. Sentries scrambled, readying old gene-spliced brambles and welded barricades. Aiden turned to Flora. "We can still overload the main, the command code is incomplete. But if you trust me." She drew close, voice trembling with the weight of hope and fear. "Always." He plugged a data port into her palm, guiding the subtle flow of code and chlorophyll. Their thoughts intermingled for a heartbeat, her memories of ancient forests, his of gleaming city lights. It sparked something neither could name. Code and root entwined. The main sequence was sent. An eruption of fresh growth burst through the industrial floor, spilling life and water throughout the undercity. Fountains gushed, brambles tangled the security feeds, and walls pulsed with new green veins. Just as enforcers broke through the gates, they were greeted with a living maze, too strong to burn, too fast to contain. Flora collapsed against Aiden, exhausted but victorious. He caught her gently. "You did it. The city breathes again." She looked up, soft but fierce. "No, we did, together." All around, hope surged like spring root, fragile yet impossible to kill. And in the fragile light of morning, Aiden and Flora realized they had given Neo-Pollis something it had forgotten, a chance to choose its own future. Word of the Undercity's uprising spread across Neo-Pollis. Above, the tech elite cursed the loss of their perfect order. Below, hybrids and machine-kind clung to hope, small victories spreading like wildflowers through cracks in concrete. The enforcers, for all their might, found themselves tangled in green more stubborn than any firewall. But hope could not hide their growing danger. Commander Hargreave hadn't retreated. He gathered his forces, vowing to crush the rebellion with orbital drones programmed to sterilize the rogue districts, erasing hybrid, bot, and rogue growth alike. In the agro-warrens, Aiden held Flora's hand as the council debated their next move. "We've made the city listen. Now we have to make it see us as more than threats," Flora urged, her voice hoarse but resolute. "We show them. Life and logic together." Roan grunted, skepticism in his metal-wrapped jaw. Courage alone won't stop a drone barrage. Aiden met Roan's eyes, finding a confidence he never thought he'd possess. We must take our message to the heart of Neo-Pollis, the Citadel. We disable Hargreaves' command and broadcast the truth. All of us, together. Flora squeezed his hand, anxiety and admiration mingling. That's not logic, Aiden. That's faith. He smiled, a warmth behind his mechanical calm. You showed me how. The people rallied. Bots were upgraded with pollen jammers and chlorophyll shields. Plant folk wound their roots with copper filament, ready to defend every inch of reclaimed city. As the Citadel loomed ahead, towering, silver-edged, deadly, Flora and Aiden slipped into flooded tunnels, guided by allies old and new. Along the way, Flora faltered, hands trembling as she checked the leaves along her arms. I'm weakening, Aiden. The city's toxins, they're spreading. If I fail, he steadied her, voice firm. If you fall, I will carry you. If I fall, you'll carry on the code. We're not alone anymore. She smiled through her worry. You've changed, you know. I think you made room for something new inside me, Aiden whispered, almost shy, as he brushed away a wilted leaf from her brow. Their closeness was electricity and earth, hope and longing tangled together. Above them, the Citadel glowed, its algorithms already targeting the insurgents. The final battle had begun, not just for escape, but for the soul of Neo-Pollis itself. Together, at the threshold of oblivion, Aiden and Flora prepared to risk everything, for each other and for the fragile promise they'd planted in the city's heart. Thunder cracked overhead, artificial lightning raking the Citadel's razor spires as Aiden and Flora led their improvised battalion through the submerged access tunnels. Each step toward the heart of the city was weighed by the stinging memory of all they stood to lose, a fragile new kinship, a hidden world of wild gardens, and the delicate tendrils of something like love wrapped tightly around their souls. Security drones buzzed above, unleashing electric nets and acidic fog. Sprawling vines and pollen-jamming bots fought back, surging forward as one. The tunnels shuddered beneath the Citadel, every wall trembling with static as the rebels disabled sensors and outsmarted security routines. Roan and the other outcasts fought at their side, their unity ironclad under fire. A narrow escape brought the pair to a vertical shaft lined by ancient pipes. Above, the Citadel's command core pulsed, the brain controlling Hargreaves' entire drone fleet. Flora's steps faltered, her color faded, her breath shallow. Toxins racked her system, her roots fraying with every moment spent in the corrupted air. Aiden caught her as she sagged to her knees. We're so close, Flora. Hold on. She smiled weakly. Even if I break apart right now, I wouldn't change this. You helped me believe we deserved more. He lifted her gently, trembling as he realized he was truly afraid. You've given me more than function. Stay with me a little longer. Enemies closed in. Through the grate above, Hargreaves' hollow voice echoed, Surrender now, or watch your rebellion wither and die. No machine, no weed can stand against the will of true progress. Flora, despite her exhaustion, laughed bitterly. Funny, Commander. You don't even know what progress means. Aiden's eyes glowed brighter, his voice firmer than ever before. We're more than metal and root. Your rules can't erase us. They scaled the shaft, Flora guiding roots into old alarm systems to disable them, Aiden carrying her weight and hacking the main access panel. Every motion was agony for her now, every command a leap of faith. But she pressed on, fueled by the strange new force kindled between them. At last, they broke into the Citadel's inner sanctum, a garden of glass and chrome where the city's fate would be decided. Alarms screamed and drones swirled overhead. Flora's knees buckled, her energy nearly gone. Aiden, you have to finish this. Stop Hargreaves' fleet. Save us. He caught her, clutching her close. Not without you. You're the reason I choose it all. As sirens wailed and steel-clad guards poured into the garden, Aiden plugged into the Citadel's interface with Flora's trembling hand in his. Command codes, memories, hope, and pain all intertwined as root and circuit. Outside, the city hung in a fleeting silence, not knowing whether it would wake to fire and ruin, or the first morning of something wholly new. Inside the Citadel's pulse-lit garden, chaos ignited. Drones circled like steel vultures, their lasers aimed at the center where Aiden cradled Flora, wires and roots intertwined in the wet grass. Sirens screamed, false dawns flickered beyond the glass as Hargreaves' voice echoed, chilling and cold. Final purge in 30 seconds. Aiden's hands shook as Flora's energy ebbed between his fingers. Stay with me, Flora. Don't let go. Her smile, small and defiant. Don't look for the old protocols, Aiden. Write new ones, for both of us. Their connection flickered, a stunning fusion. Flora's botanical code weaving with Aiden's logic, raw emotion forging a new algorithm. His senses overflowed with color, memory, and longing. The sunlight through leaves, Flora's laughter, the ache of hope. It was more than code. It was love, and it demanded to live. He reached for the Citadel's master console, guiding Flora's trembling hand over the interface. Together, they overrode the drone fleet's commands, broadcasting a new signal to every machine, every networked plant hybrid. Images flashed across every screen in Neo-Pollis, not just rebellion, but kinship, love, and a city reborn in unity. Above, the drone fleet paused, recognizing a new route in their command structure. Hargreaves' face appeared, twisted with disbelief. "What have you done?" he sneered. Flora, barely clinging to consciousness, answered, "We've planted something better, something you can't burn out." Aiden finished the sequence, locking out Hargreave and rerouting the city's controls. Drones powered down, alarms silenced, and every display shimmered with images of green over steel, androids and hybrids embracing change. The guards hesitated. Roan and the rebels surged from below, overwhelming what resistance remained. As the city erupted in cheers and relief, Aiden lowered himself beside Flora, her breath faint but peaceful. He looked down at her, his voice trembling with newfound depth. "Stay. The world is different now. We made it so." She blinked, a tear glittering on her cheek. "I'm still here, as long as you are." Doctors and engineers rushed in, working together, bio and mechanical hands healing what they could. Flora's toxins were slowly cleansed. Aiden never let go, his touch tender, protective, and full of promise. Days later, Neo-Pollis stood transformed. The council opened the city's gardens to all. Hybrids, androids, humans, and plants mingled freely, tending new routes amid old circuits. On a balcony of blooming jasmine and humming machines, Flora reached for Aiden's hand. "We taught them, didn't we? That what's different isn't to be destroyed, but understood." Aiden squeezed her fingers, his eyes bright with hope. "We did it together. That will always be enough." As they looked out over their changed city, hearts of titanium and vine beat steady in the morning sun, daring to believe in every future yet to come.